This is a PSA, or public sock announcement. Experts have declared Bombas socks as the best way to warm up chilly feet. These pairs are super cushy, soft, and designed for maximum coziness. Plus, for every pair purchased, another pair will be donated, so someone in need of essential clothing can stay warm this winter. Go to bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN for 20% off your first purchase. That's bombas.com/listen and use code LISTEN at checkout.
There's one thing that will forever change the way you sleep, and it's the softest 100% organic cotton sheets from Boll & Branch. You'll fall asleep faster, wrapped in the most luxurious comfort. You'll never sleep hot again with sheets that feel breathable to sleep in. You'll experience the purest softness on night one and feel your sheets get even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with 15% off your first set of sheets at bollandbranch.com with code CUMULUS. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
This is Joey Aguilar, quarterback App State, and you're listening to the Fun Belt Podcast.
This is the Fun Belt Podcast, part of the Believe Network.
Hosts to Dusty Thibodeaux of Warhawk Report, Jeremy Harper of Howlraiser, and Shane Mettlen of the Daily News Record.
I think it's potentially a very good week for the Sun Belt.
But I'm just kind of going off on a random rant. It's just frustrating. It's
Everybody, welcome back. Sunbelt Podcast. Thibodeaux with me at the Sunbelt Media Days. My name's Jeremy Harper. You just heard from our last episode, we talked to JMU, we talked to Marshall. Now we're going to get a hold of ODU, the weirdest the weirdest team in the Sunbelt, the Monarchs. We're going to talk to head coach Ricky Ronnie. We're going to talk to head coach Sean Clark of Appalachian State. Is Appalachian State back, Tibbs?
I don't think they ever left.
Okay. I felt like they had some stumbling years, but yeah, they seem strong now. And then we'll close it out with Georgia Southern's Clay Helton and a couple of his guys. Talk about that beautiful Eagle Creek and how nice and clean and magical it is.
Yeah, it's great to, we talk about it. It's one of the best traditions in all of college football, and we get to call it one of our own in the Sun Belt Conference. But yeah, I think you got to keep your eyes closed, maybe have some earplugs so that none of the greatness of Eagle Creek enters your body.
Maybe test for bacteria afterwards. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. From baseball, golf, soccer, right to all the top fights in the UCF, MMA, and boxing. Every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads while the games are being played. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on some blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our 150 slots games. Head to the website today to get in on the action. Use promo code BLEAV, that's BLEAV, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online, the game starts here.
Ricky Ronnie joins us, talking everything Monarchs. Coach, 6-7 record, overtime loss in the famous Toastery Bowl. Do you even know what a famous Toastery is now?
Yeah. There was one. There was one near our hotel. My kids went there. I was able to meet the guy who started all of them. He was great. I was not able to eat any of it. My kids said it was pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah, and my kids they're kind of breakfast connoisseurs. We're one of those families that'll have breakfast for dinner and that sort of thing. So they were very complimentary.
Did they ask you, Dad, why don't we get to play in the Pop-Tart Bowl?
So they did. They actually said, like, hey, next year, Pop-Tart Bowl. And I'm like, hey, buddy, my kids grew up with the understanding that Santa Claus only comes only to bowl hotels, and so I still remember that was a real ultimate backfire when I left Penn State, went to Old Dominion, and then told them the first question is, well, are we going to the Cotton Bowl? And I said, well, no, guys, we're not. And then they both immediately thought Christmas was canceled. So that was a bad deal. I really had to talk my way out of that one. So but they're very aware of which bowls. They were kind of looking at the Hawaii Bowl. Then they saw how long the travel was. They weren't real fired up about that. So yeah, they definitely are in tune.
Coach, we affectionately call Old Dominion the weirdest team in the Sun Belt because we just don't know what's going to happen. One minute it's just a brilliant showing against an opponent that seems to be would seem to overmatch you on paper, and the next minute there just things kind of seem to fall apart. How does your team look this season? Will it be more consistent?
We're certainly deeper, and I think that's something that's going to help us out. I mean, we only have 11 returning starters, which is still a lot, right? But we could have had a lot more. But we have 11 returning starters. But we have 12 other guys that have started FBS games, and then once so that's 20, 23, 20, whatever guys it is there. Then I think after the first game, where we'll have some first-time starters, we'll have 28 to 30 guys who have started FBS games. So we're certainly going to have a lot more depth. And I think that's something that I look forward to. I think it's going to make our special teams better. I think it's going to make us better later in games, and I think it's going to make us better later in the season. So I'm looking forward to that, and see how that depth can help us, overcome maybe some of those lulls that we've had at times in the past.
Coach, you've got one of the all-time great tacklers on the team, Jason Henderson, linebacker, named Defensive Player, preseason Defensive Player of the Year. I believe he was the Defensive Player of the Year last year. Was he? I don't
think he was.
Okay, but he should have been.
Yeah, well, yeah.
if not, we've anointed him.
We will anoint him that. How great is it to have him come back his senior season to bring that leadership to that defense?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome to bring back a Walter Camp All-American. I mean, if you love football at all, to say that you are a Walter Camp All-American, I mean, that's pretty awesome, right? I mean, that's a pretty special deal. That gives you the ability to be elected into the College Football Hall of Fame, which, think about that for a second. I mean, a lot of guys have played, I've never coached a College Football Hall of Famer before, so I mean, to think about that is a pretty special deal. It's awesome to bring him back. In fact, we have two guys at our media day that have spent their entire career at Old Dominion is a pretty rare thing nowadays, so to have those guys back, to have him around and that sort of thing, I'm excited about that. I think about he was the first guy that I ever offered a scholarship to at Old Dominion, so
good choice.
What's that?
That was a good choice.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. We won't talk about maybe the second or third guys, but the first guy worked. So no, it's an awesome deal to see him have that sort of success.
Grant Wilson does return though at the quarterback position, 2,100 yards last year, but not maybe as consistent on the completions. There was a lot of explosive plays. How do you kind of parlay that success that he had last year into maybe a little bit more consistency this year?
I've really seen Grant focusing on his fundamentals over the summer, and he certainly has been more consistent in practice than he ever was. And so I've loved the way he's approached this summer, and I think that's been a big change. Obviously we brought in a transfer quarterback as well who started games at Boston College and Emmett Moorhead, and I think that Grant's seen this as a challenge, not a knock, right? He's seen it as, okay, iron sharpens iron. I'm going to go out there and be the best quarterback I can be to make our team the best. And, he really has approached the summer this way, and I've seen a huge change in his fundamentals, and I think it's going to lead to a lot more, accuracy and consistency.
College football and college athletics overall seems like it's very much in flux. You're the head of the NCAA. What's maybe the first change that you're trying to implement?
People have asked that question a bunch. One thing I've begun to realize is everybody can have really good ideas, but what you don't understand is what that idea affects everything else. And I think that's the thing that we all need to understand. A couple years ago, Dave Clawson, head coach at Wake Forest, his idea was, hey, let's eliminate all rules and come back in 2 years and say, what's really important? I think, like you, everybody laughed at that idea. Mm-hmm. The reality of it is we maybe should have done that. And come back in 2 years. I think the genie's out of the bottle a little bit now. You can't really do that now. But we've all got to understand that every rule you have, every idea you have affects something else. If I had one rule, though, I got two, actually.
Okay. We want to hear both.
The 1-2 rule, right?
One I would have is I would make camps, invite camps. You can invite kids to camp. Right now, you can't. You can invite them to camp, but they can't be invite-only camps. So why? We all know that the camps are to evaluate prospects and their prospects. They're not teaching camps anymore. So let's get over that. Like, that's a very antiquated notion. Let's start doing that. It would save parents and high school kids a lot of money. It would save us a lot of time. It would be a good thing. So that's number one. Number two, I would always have 2 bye weeks for here until eternity. I would have 2 bye weeks every single year, and I would make one of those bye weeks a national bye week.
A universal bye week.
A universal bye week would be about the 8th week of the year, and that week would be National Signing Day week. And from after that week, you would be able, the kids could sign any day all the way up until July 31st of the next year. So any day they wanted to, after that National Signing Day hit, they could sign all the way. So you don't have to wait until another signing day period, whatever. It would be that time. I know that it would be, TV wouldn't necessarily like it because they wouldn't get the games. They'd have the same content. You'd have get the same number of games.
Yeah.
And then you'd have that week where you could go heavy into recruiting and dive into recruiting and go into it all and that sort of thing. Still get the National Signing Day vibe. The kids would all get 2 bye weeks so that their bodies could recover more, health and safety and all those sort of things. That would be my other idea.
Coach, I'm sorry. I was going to say, I'm ready to name Coach Ronnie the head of the NCAA. Are you?
Yeah, I mean, we heard.
What's my salary? What are we talking about? Mark Emmett?
Your salary is the love of the game,
yeah,
right?
It's the salary $1.
I assure you of that.
It's the salary $1 of the CEO.
Yeah.
But Coach, in this day and age with portal, you automatically, your heart got to sink a little bit when you get that call and you see it's a player. How much more so does it sink now, knowing that a player's calling and you know it very well could be coach, this school has offered me this amount of money for NIL and I'm out of here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. No, I think maybe a couple of years ago it was a little bit more. I've been able to. I get through the stages of grief pretty fast now. You know what I mean?
Well, you got to, right?
I go from anger to acceptance in about 2.4 seconds, and that's just part of it. I think that one thing is I've had to do is you have to keep investing in your players, and I think that's the hardest part because there's times, if you get burned over and over and over again, it's hard to keep investing because that's a lot of pain. But the reality of it is the guys like Jason, the guys like Santana, those guys who stay, they deserve it, right? They deserve for you to keep investing. They deserve that sort of investment all the time. And so, yeah. I would say maybe a couple of years ago it was like that. Now it's kind of like, hey, man, what's up? And you kind of go from there. If there's a way that you can help the young man, great. If there's not, you wish him best of luck and hope he finds a good situation.
He doesn't have that reaction, Jeremy, when he sees your name pop up.
No, not really. Old Dominion head coach Ricky Ronnie joins us on the show, and he is joined by some beef, Santana Saunders. Saunders, welcome to the show. I want to ask you a question. Your coach had great praise for you as being a 4-year man. How does it feel to go 4 years at the same school, seeing the program develop while you're there, seeing the team develop and change? How has that process been?
I mean, loyalty is everything. To me, that's like number one. Especially for a guy like Coach Ronnie, who's a family guy. I wouldn't want to leave a guy who treats you like family. It's kind of hard to find it in the world, especially him being a Division I football coach. He's a busy man all the time. He looks busy right now.
Yeah.
So
he's just contemplating life.
So to be able to just be around a guy like that who brings you in, you feel like you're at home. It's hard to escape that route. You know what I mean? I think loyalty is the right thing to do. I think there's no reward for loyalty. That's the right thing to do.
You guys get Virginia Tech, I think, in week 3 at your place. Kind of a rival for you guys, in-state kind of thing. Does the winner get to own Virginia?
It's an interesting thing. We're blessed. We get to play them. We get to play JMU. We played Liberty last year, and we've played them in the past. So we play some Virginia teams. We will actually play. We've played Virginia in the past. We'll play them again in a couple years. So we're lucky that our in-state, A4 or Power 4 or whatever I'm supposed to call them now. those guys play us.
Yeah.
And I get it, because a lot in the Sun Belt, those guys don't get the opportunity to play those guys, and I get that. So, I have a lot of respect for Virginia Tech and Virginia, that those guys will play us, and that's an awesome deal, an awesome opportunity, especially them coming to us. I mean, we played Virginia Tech 10 years in a row when it comes all down to it. I mean, that's a wild deal.
That is a wild deal.
Rivalry. I mean, they're basically in our conference, for God's sake. I mean, we're playing them 10 years in a row. So, I mean, there's some teams in our conference we won't see but twice in 10 years.
Sure.
And we're playing them 10 years in a row. So it's a little bit of a different deal, than most in-state situations.
Santana, been around the league now for 4 years. You've played these guys again and again. Sun Belt East, Thibs, one of the toughest conferences, or division. Well, we're the only ones with divisions.
We're the only.
Yeah, but still one of the toughest slates that you'll see in college football. Is there a particular Sun Belt East team that you kind of circle in red more than others?
They don't use red, Jeremy. They use that powder blue.
Oh, they use that Monarch.
Yeah.
Do you circle it in Monarch blue?
I mean, it's not a specific team for me. I like to take it day by day, honestly. I'm not really like, all right, one team I can't wait to play. I mean, it's like, who we got now? Who's next? Honestly, that's how I feel. You know what I mean? Every game you can say is a red circle, I would say, just for the mentality of it. But it's not one particular game.
Who talks the most shit? Defensive backs or defensive linemen?
Defensive lineman. 100%.
Is there a lot of shit talking in the trench? I've always wondered that, between the offensive lineman and the defensive lineman. You see it on TV. It looks like everybody's focused and concentrating and just looking to do their job, but there may be some trash talk going on too.
Yeah, defensive line is, they like to talk all that.
It's an intimidation thing, right?
No, I feel like it's a confidence thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you talk, you're confident in your game. I feel like. I mean, some people can be cocky, but it all depends what you say.
Well, speaking of cocky and confidence, have you seen yourself on the new video game?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about it?
He won the Heisman, Jeremy.
He's got the Heisman, yes.
I mean, I never dreamed of being in a video game. I think it's cool, but it's just like, I won't say it's weird, but it's like wow.
Yeah.
That's me.
Uh-huh.
But it's nothing more than that. I'm not like mindful. You know what I mean? It's like.
Did they do a good job on the likeness though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't look.
A little underrated, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah, you're a little underrated, but they do look like you, but you're a little underrated.
Yeah, as long as they get the size right, that's good too.
You know what that means? That means Coach has played. So
they know I played.
Now the key question is, Coach, did you bench me on the game too?
No, never. I didn't play with. I did the whole road to glory, or for me, it's like return to almost glory. But it's no, I didn't. I haven't played the actual game. I let my sons do that part of it.
Also joining Ricky Ronnie with him is. I don't know, tackle specialist, tackle master, tackle maestro, Jason Henderson, the preseason Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I do have a question, and maybe even Coach Ronnie might be able to pick up on this too. Tackling has become such an issue in college football in terms of protecting the quarterback, the types of tackles you can do. You managed to assemble a huge amount of tackles and maybe a relatively few amount of penalties. How do you do that? How do you manage that? How did you become such the gold standard of tackling, not just in the Sun Belt, but in college football?
That's just, what our defensive coordinator and coaching staff does. Every day we do a tackling drill or a tackling circuit during the season, during practice and stuff like that. They make sure that, especially with the targeting and stuff, they really emphasize making sure your heads are up and stuff like that, because that's really the biggest one that you're going to find yourself in a problem with. Thankfully, I haven't had too many issues with that. Unfortunately, I had one, but hopefully I just continue to keep myself safe, keep the rest of the players safe, and just keep tackling people.
I would also say I think his wrestling background helps him in that. You know what I mean? There's some ways where he's able to contort his body and do those sort of things. There's ways he knows how to get somebody on the ground. So I do think his wrestling background helped a lot with that. We do a lot of drills. I mean, we work on tackling a lot. Shoot, half the time they're not even in pads.
Yeah.
Right? It's more about getting yourself in a good body position and then finishing it. I mean, we do tackling drills. Most of our tackling drills are when we're on our non-contact days. And I think that's been really helpful for us. It gets the guys going on those non-contact days so they still feel like it's a practice day while not putting a lot of strain on their bodies and allowing them to be able to play longer and that sort of thing.
Would you recommend all high school defensive players to jump onto the high school wrestling team?
I would.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to definitely say that's – even younger than that. I started when I was in 4th grade. I think, the younger the better probably.
I think one thing is all of players need to play something else.
Yeah.
Whether it's basketball, whether it's wrestling, even baseball, track, anything. Like, you can't in football. You only get you get limited opportunities. So you need more opportunities where you're in competitive situations where you have to make decisions and stuff in a competitive environment. You can't simulate that enough in practice.
Santana, you're a multi-sport guy in high school?
Yes,
He was a bowler.
In high school, I was a state qualifier. Not as good as Jason, but I was a state qualifier, and I think it kind of helped my play. Just hand placement, leverage, more to say. But yeah, playing multiple sports in high school was definitely great for athletes.
Ever try like tennis or golf or volleyball?
You're too big to be doing that stuff.
I imagine some sports are more valuable than others when it comes to that.
That's all we have. We love the Monarchs. We love, as we affectionately call them, like I said, the weirdest team in the Sun Belt. You leave me speechless all the time, Coach. Not only with your words, but with the actions of the team. Love it, and definitely looking forward to seeing Dr. Henderson over here getting more tackles and trying to break Carlton Marshall's
Going to
record.
break that record, right?
Not worried about the records right now.
All right, okay. We'll worry about the records. Thanks guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Go for it.
All right, joining us at the table is representatives from Georgia Southern, Jalen White, the fifth-year senior, running back and first-team Sun Belt, and TJ Smith, also redshirt senior, defensive back and second-team Sun Belt. Welcome to the show, guys. Glad to have you on board. Are you ready for another crazy season in the Sun Belt East?
Yes, sir. Always. I'm excited for it. You know how it gets in the Sun Belt, especially on the east side. So, really looking forward to the games to come.
Now, you have a really tough out-of-conference schedule. Culminates with a game against Ole Miss.
Yes, sir.
But then right after that game, Georgia State, first conference game.
Yeah.
Whoever wins that game gets to own Georgia, correct? Is that true?
Hey, we take bragging rights for the year.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely true. That's definitely true.
I know they've been talking about it. I'm sure you guys have been talking about it. But
No, we don't really talk about it too much. We just let it come when it comes.
Oh, okay.
Just let it come when it comes.
Now, have you guys jumped into beautiful Eagle Creek yet?
I got in. I ain't jumped, but I got
You got gingerly got in.
It was a little crazy, but I loved it, though. It was fun. It was a fun experience.
All right. It's crystal clear water, right? It's not like full of trash and plastic and
If you could see the look that he just gave you, Jeremy.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Okay,
it's how
okay.
you see it. It's how
I
you see
heard it has magic properties. I know your coach Clay has gotten in there and
When your eyes are closed that tight, you just picture it.
It's burning.
It's as beautiful as you see it, I promise. It's as beautiful as you see it.
But how great is it? I mean, that's one of the great traditions of all of college football, not just necessarily the Sun Belt, but I mean, all of college football. No one else has anything like that.
Yeah, it is pretty special because I think what makes it so special is that it's unique, it's one of a kind, it's really one of one. And to have that, you take a lot of pride in it. So I think that's what really makes it stand out to me.
Well, the other tradition at Statesboro too, the orange bus or the yellow school bus. Yeah, you guys still rolling that out, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's never stopping.
Okay.
Can't stop it. That's a tradition.
You just have
Along
to
with the Valley song, yep, it's forever.
You just have to prevent guys from surfing on top of it with a beer,
that's
right?
it. That's against the rules.
It was a very cool moment, right?
That was a wild time.
Got to stay on the inside of the bus now, man.
It was cool at the moment, but no, not overall. You made me lose my train of thought.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Well, why don't we jump over to Clay Helton?
Let's do it.
Clay has joined us, coach of the Georgia Southern Eagles. What, year 4?
Year 3.
Year 3, okay. You come into Statesboro, you revamp the whole system. You say we're throwing out the triple option, and we're doing this new pass-heavy offense, and everybody was like, well, okay, that'll probably take a couple years, and it seemed to fly right off the shelf. You get Van Treese in there, has a great season. Next year you get Davis Brin. He does some pretty good things too. Who's going to be the guy this year? Is it Dexter Williams? Is it J.C. French? Are you going to tell us? Are you going to say it's 1A, 1B?
Well, we're going to have 25 practices to figure that out. So, but I tell you, compared to year one and year two, where you just that year one, I was sitting there going praying to God every night Kyle Ventries didn't get hurt. The last year we get a little bit unfortunate with injuries with David Dallas and J.C. French later in that year, where you just had Davis Brin. Now you look at a very deep room. You know, when you look at David being back healthy, J.C. French, you know, back healthy, Dexter Williams comes in from Indiana, originally from Macon, Georgia, and you add a Tyler Budge and a Colton Fitzgerald. You've got a room that's not only deep but talented. And the competition, as we know in college football, raises everybody up.
Absolutely.
It makes everybody better. And you always, you know, having been a quarterback coach by trade, you know, you're always looking for the guy that separates himself and separates himself in the moment. Who's playing the best football when you walk into week one? Who's leading the team? A great quarterback always provides hope to the other players.
That's true.
Who's providing the hope to the players that we can go have a championship season? And thank God we got 25 practices to figure that out.
Year 3 in, and as Jeremy alluded to, you know, you scrap the whole tradition of the triple option. Is there still the old guard going, you know, you won 6 games last year, you would have won 8 or 9 if you were still running it?
Well, you know, we've had tremendous support, you know, and I think everybody knows the reality of FBS football. You know, when there's 6 national championships won in the FCS level with that system, which was unbelievable for Coach Russell, Coach Johnson in that time. But in 2014 we joined the FBS, and at that point in time we want to make a national mark. And be a national brand, be a national story at that level. And in today's time, it's all about recruiting. And to be able to show yourself, to be able to have the opportunity, not only to be a 1,000-yard rusher like a Jalen White, but to also be a significant passing offense and be balanced. That's what the NFL is. Guys want to see themselves developing within systems that could transfer over to the NFL. And so to be able to that, we needed to be more balanced. And when you're talking about the state of Georgia and the surrounding states, you're in the most significant, strongest recruiting base in the country. And to be able to do that, you have to be attractive to those. And so we've done that over 2 years. Now you look at our skill athletes and who they are. They're really special people and special talents. And a lot of that was because we needed to go to that more balanced offense.
So, Coach, year one, you had to kind of cannonball in and put in the new system and get your guys together and get them on board and make sure that that everything is running smoothly. I imagine it was a little bit like drinking out of a fire hose. Now you're in year 3. Are you feeling a little more comfortable? Are you feeling like
I don't know if you ever get comfortable.
Oh, okay. That's probably the wrong word. Yeah.
But I will say this: I sleep better at night because of a couple reasons. One, you know, it's these guys beside me. You know, we've been able to have very little attrition in our football team because of the leadership we have in the locker room, and I think that's really important nowadays. Is when you look, and that's really when you look at us from top to bottom. I think that's why everything's so exciting for us right now. You look at our administrative leadership, same president and AD in Kyle Marrero and Jared Benko for my entire time here, same head coach. Now you're looking at same systems for multiple years. Brandon Bailey going to his 2nd year, Turner West going to his 3rd year, Ryan Appalachian become the OC going into his 3rd year at Georgia Southern. You know, so the transition of relationships and trust is there. Systems don't change. And then you look at these guys and you don't change the locker room. I think that's why you look up and there's 9 preseason, you know, all-conference selections for Georgia Southern. It's because that lack of attrition and because that talent did not leave that locker room. They've got a special chemistry. I've done it for 30 years. That locker room, people underestimate the bond and the chemistry, how important it is, you know, to the locker room and how far it can carry you. And these kids got it right now.
So, TJ, I asked one of your counterparts, Caden Robinson, a wide receiver out of Appalachian State, who talks more shit, wide receivers or defensive backs, and he said defensive backs. Is that true?
I would definitely say DBs. I know I can't stop talking sometimes, so I'm going DBs for sure.
Okay, so it's the defensive backs that are going to be the ones talking all the trash.
Yeah.
Now, somebody threw in a dark horse, said defensive linemen are the guys that talk the most trash. So,
I mean, you know, that is the trenches. So a lot of stuff going in the trenches that people don't know about. I don't even know sometimes. So they might have us, but I know on that back end, the DBs got them for sure.
now, Jalen, I'm sorry, but Jalen, if you truck a linebacker or a defensive lineman, are you the guy talking trash, or are you like, oh man, sorry about that, let me help you out? Okay, all right.
But you're standing in the secondary. Surely you see things, and sometimes you're just like, I didn't see that. Or you get caught slipping, and the receiver blows by you because you're like, I can't believe I just saw that on the line.
He just gave you a look.
I don't get caught slipping. I'm always like,
you don't tell him slipping.
That comes after the play, you know. Then I lock back in right after that. So yeah.
That gets edited out of the film and everything.
So, Coach Helton talked about the consistency there. Great AD that y'all have there, and Jared Binko. The man can cook. How many times have y'all been to his house, and what's the signature dish that he gives y'all?
Honestly, I've been to it. I've been to it 1 or 2 times. I think what he goes with is like the pulled pork brisket type of meal. With, make you a sandwich with some mac and cheese. Yeah. It'd be pretty good.
Was that a key factor when other schools were maybe trying to court you away that you went to the athletic director and said, I'm leaving?
No, I would say that is different. You don't usually get to go to your AD's house, so that was big. I love that experience.
You want to talk a little bit about the EA Sports, the NCAA football?
I do. I love it.
Yeah. Is Jalen represented correctly in the speed and size? And
how many games have y'all played? What's your record? And how many yards do you have rushing?
You talking about in Dynasty?
Yeah.
So first year we went 7. No, we went to the Sun Belt Championship. We won that. I was Heisman.
You won the Heisman.
Congratulations!
That is amazing that we now have a Heisman Trophy winner in the Sun Belt.
I gotta get it somehow, and so we didn't get to the college playoff. I accidentally simmed the first 2 games. I lost, so we gotta have a good record. So yeah, it's been fun playing.
Did you talk to Coach Helton and say, look, Coach, I got a game plan, and here's where it is? and then did he look at you going, where'd you come up with this?
They don't got the coaches in the game.
I know, that's awful. But Coach Helton, have you looked at the game and looked at that player and said, man, he hasn't got 90 speed. I mean, come on. I know the truth.
I think the numbers need to be adjusted. These guys are pretty special. This one's numbers will go up, but by the end of the year, TJ's will. He's going to be an all-conference All-American. But it's great to have the game back. To see I've always thought college football is about passion and energy, and bringing that game back and to just see how it affects our players and kids today. It's great to have it back. It really is.
Now, is that kind of a motivator? We've asked a couple guys, players and coaches, about that they update the stats and the abilities throughout the year. Is that a motivator? Be like, all right, by the middle of the season, my speed's going to be up.
It's not a crazy motivator because you don't want to get too caught up in that because it really don't matter. But like, of course, you know, when people play with you on the game, you want to be well represented, and I feel like I'm underrepresented on the game a little bit, so I gotta get that up. But other than that, it don't really mean too much to me.
So, with that, what was the final score when you played Georgia State?
Oh, yeah.
I know we won. I can't remember the exact score, but I know we beat them.
I mean, was it double digits? Was it like a last-second Hail Mary?
It probably was double digits. They couldn't stop that pitch to the right. They couldn't stop it.
That's because they had a Heisman Trophy running back, rather. Yeah.
And if you had to play them in Georgia State, you had to listen to that train horn.
The train horn.
That's the worst. Guys, we thank you for being on the show. I know it's been a busy day. I think you've already been at the podium, right? So got that out of the way. You probably feel good. Are you leaving tonight, or are you?
Yeah, we're gonna leave.
We're gonna leave tonight as soon as
well,
we get
done. You're not
done.
gonna stick around tomorrow?
Nah, we gotta get back to work.
All right, you get back to work. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Yes,
Thank you.
For having us.
Appreciate it, guys.
The Darlings of the East. And that, of course, is just Sean Clark and his Mountaineers join us on Funbelt Podcast. Coach, another year, another trip to the Sunbelt Conference Championship. What's this year hold for you?
Well, we'll find out come August. You know, from January to July, you work on your culture group program, and then come August, 4 weeks in August, really find out what you have. But I'm very confident in our team that we have everything in place to be successful this year. These two young men beside me with Joey Aguilar and Caden Robinson, I think they exemplify what our program's about. These guys are blue-collar guys, come in and work, get the job done, and really have no egos. And we've got a lot of accolades throughout the preseason. It's preseason for a reason, but I think if you ask both of these guys, would they be first team all-conference or Sun Belt champions, they put the team first, and that's what I'm most proud of.
It's got to make you sleep a little bit better at night, knowing that you do have the key components of your offensive back there with Aguilar and Robinson coming back. How great is that? And then what's that speak for your defense, that you didn't really bring anybody from that side of the ball?
Well, it's we're kind of young on defense still, to be honest with you. But with these two players here, with Joey setting a lot of Sun Belt records or App State records in the passing game, and Caden with receiving, as one of those you bring two guys that represent your program. And we have a lot of players on our team that can represent in a great fashion. But just to have these two guys back, I think we're one of 25 schools in the country to turn their head coach, both offensive and defensive coordinator, and starting quarterback. So we have some weapons on offense. I think our defense will be really improved. We went out in the transfer portal and really beefed up on the defensive line. That was some of our demise last year. We couldn't stop the run. We were last in the conference in run defense and first in passing defense, and led the conference in turnovers. So we've identified places in our program we have to improve, and we've done that. And again, we have great players on our team that are on a mission in 2024.
Joey, newcomer of the year last year, preseason offensive player of the year this year. What brought you back? I mean, after your newcomer of the year, you put up just video game numbers, and we'll get to that later. But what brings you back to App State for your senior season?
Boone, coaches, and my players. I mean, Coach Clark gave me the opportunity to come out from California to Boone and gave me a scholarship to, obviously come and play. So, I mean, he's a great guy, did nothing bad to me. Boone, great community, great fans, and, I mean, I love it there. So I had no reason to leave, and I probably would never leave.
So the culture shock just shook you that you can't leave?
Definitely.
Is it ever going to wear off?
Nah.
So preseason offensive player of the year, does that put a lot of pressure on you, or are you just like, I can just do my thing and not have to worry about anything?
I mean, it's whatever. It's cool, but I mean, it's whatever. I'm still going to go out there and work. I mean, that's cool to be named it and be recognized, but that means nothing if I don't go out there and perform. So,
Caden, last year, 2 years ago rather, App State, darlings of college football, after the big win at Texas A&M last year, it was James Madison with their unranked. Take me back to that game-winning touchdown that really kind of broke their hearts and made Coach Clark start dancing on the sidelines and everything else.
I didn't see that.
Nah, Coach brought it up. We had a timeout, and he looked at me and told me we're not leaving here without a win. So we called a play. I just came across the middle. Joey just happened to throw me the ball, and I try not to never let just one person bring me down. It was two defenders, and I just made them both miss and got in the end zone. So it was a big moment for sure.
Well, so it was very deterministic. I'm getting to the end zone no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure. I knew it was third down, and I didn't want to have to. Our receiver coach always says, never leave it in the field goal kicker's hands, no matter who it is. Just make the play. So I just made the play.
Coach, as a former specialist, your player is insulting to me that he doesn't want to put it in the hands of a kicker.
Yeah, well, again, you know this. We have a good kicker, Michael Hughes.
Yeah.
Who kicked a 54-yard field goal at Monroe.
With an expired play clock, yes, I was there.
That was part of the plan. That's something we practice every day is a 2-minute drill. And those scenarios come up on a daily basis, and our kids were comfortable with doing that. And you mentioned the play at James Madison. There was never a doubt we weren't going to win the football game. The game should have been over in regulation. By regulation, we drop a pick on 3rd and 14. We drop it, or 3rd and 20. But again, it's credit to our players that they have what it takes to win and win at a high level and do the best thing for our program. And I couldn't be more happy to have these two guys with me because they exemplify what we're about. They don't care who gets the credit as long as we win as a team.
Coach, Appalachian State never disappeared, of course. They're always amongst the top in the Sun Belt. But JMU has come along. Coastal Carolina has come along. There's been a lot of great rivalries in the process. Is Appalachian State back? They're ranked number one, or headed to be number one in the conference. Are you back?
I don't think we left. To be honest with you, you came here, and when we came to the conference in 2015, I got here in 2016. We knew that we were going to win 8 games by showing up, and that's not the case anymore. You look around our conference, especially in the East. It's every week you have a chance to win or lose by the turnover margin. And I think you look at the West now, with Troy winning it this past year. Arkansas State's improving. I think you have one of the up-and-coming coaches at Monroe. I think he's going to do a great job. Texas State's got a lot of recognition right now. So there's a reason why we're one of the premier groups in all college football. I don't call it Power 5 or Group of 5. I think we're in the top 4 of all of college football.
Sure.
And I'll put our program against anybody, any place, any time. And we've shown that throughout the years. You go back to Michigan, North Carolina, South Carolina beating number 6 Texas A&M. That we have what it takes to win at a high level, and we've had sustained success, and that's hard to do. And I think the reason we've had sustained success, we've had not much turnover on our coaching staff. Again, I'm going my 5th season. I'm the longest tenured coach in the Sun Belt, which is hard to believe.
Yeah.
And then you return both offensive and defensive coordinator, keeping our players. And it's one thing now as the head coach, you have to recruit and retain your own players, plus recruit at a high level with high school kids and through the transfer portal. So when I became the head football coach, I went through COVID, social injustice, an election, transfer portal, and NIL all in 5 years.
Yeah, that's crazy.
We've handled that at a high level. It's not me, it's our program, it's our players that we've been able to maintain success and play at a high level.
I hear the headline of Sean Clark dooms college football.
Did he doom it?
That's what I heard out of that.
I heard Sean Clark say something about playing at a high level, but you literally do in Boone, right? You got the thin air, you're up in the sky. Is that an advantage, or do people just kind of make that a big deal?
Well, I think it is. It is what you make it. It's there's pluses and minuses to it. When we left to play Texas A&M in the September of 22, it was 48 degrees when we left Boone. And we landed in College Station.
I bet was it? Yeah.
So it was a little culture shock, a little weather shock for us. But it's that's part of our DNA is to play at the elevation we play at, 3,333 feet. But we did play at 8,000 feet at Wyoming this year, and that didn't affect us at all. And we were able to have a chance to win at the end.
Joey, do you throw a football further at Boone than any other place with that thin air, or do you notice a difference?
No, I don't know.
Okay.
It's probably all about the same.
So, Joey, I mean, you're the face of the program as being the quarterback. How do you kind of keep yourself in check and really ground yourself to know that there's that expectation at App State of what a quarterback should be like, what the offense is going to be like, and everything else?
I mean, I'm not super high-headed as it is, so I'm pretty just laid back. But just looking back at old quarterbacks, I mean, Coach Clark, keeping me in check, Coach Ponce, players as well. So, I mean, I don't try to put myself over anybody on my team. I mean, I want to win just as much as everybody else, whether my stats are weak or not. But I just want to do whatever's best for the program to make sure we get what we got to get.
Quarterback's always the cool kid. Who's the coolest person you've got to meet being quarterback at App State?
Coolest person?
Yeah. Other than Coach Clark.
It's got to be Coach Clark, right?
Coolest person? Probably everybody. Everybody cool. I'm cool with D linemen, corners, safeties, linebackers. Luke Holmes.
How was that?
Oh, it might have been Luke Holmes. It was cool. Yeah, I mean, it was brief. Talked to him for like 5 minutes, so probably Luke Holmes. He was one of the reasons I came to App and try to meet him.
So, I mean, Texas has the Lambo lineup. Marshall's got the helicopter. You just break out Luke Combs for recruiting?
Oh, that's what we do. It's part of it. No, and again, like you said, Joey's, we're glad he's back. I said this last year. You guys probably remember this. I thought we had the most underrated receivers in our conference.
Sure.
And I think it showed throughout last year that we have great receivers, and led by Cade and Christian Horn. And we have a bunch of young guys, Mekhi Jackson, and some freshmen coming in. So we have a lot of weapons on our offense. And then you throw in Eli Wilson and Larkin and Max Drag at tight end. And we're very deep at the running back position with Kanye Roberts, Anderson Castle. The list goes on and on. Like Mikael Haywood and Monty Marshall. I mean, it's 4 deep.
Got an assist from the wide receiver.
4 deep, but I mean, no, we have a lot of weapons on offense, and this year that we have to see what we're good at.
But how great is that? Because I mean, a lot of these coaches, I think of like ULM, for instance, 72 new players. I feel like everybody's gonna be walking around with a name tag. How great is it that you can kind of name that 5 deep of who your starting right guard is and so on.
That's big. I mean, that's what we live in now in the world of college football. We did sign 15 out of the transfer portal. I do have good memory, so I can memorize their names, which is good. But I think every semester is a new team. I mean, we came back from our break from the spring and our first team meeting, and I said, hey, this is our team right now. We don't want to hear more about transfer portals, NIL, or how much money you're making. This is who we got, and we have to go out and prepare throughout the summer to give ourselves a chance to win. So, again, I really like our football team. It's just one of those teams that has a chance to be special. And all their work and they put into it, we just hope it all comes to fruition this year.
Kate, and I got a question for you. I've been asking this question to a lot of guys that have come through here. Who talks the most shit, wide receivers or defensive backs?
Defensive backs for sure. It's not even close. They usually start it, but I'll finish it.
Joey, is that true? No, as a third party, you can look back and say it's definitely the defensive.
It's probably them and D lineman for sure.
Oh, defensive lineman. Okay, we got a new contender in the race there.
Have you ever thrown purposely at a D-line because of what he was saying or anything?
Nah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know where the frustration's taken out or anything like that.
These guys are pros, man. They're not going to.
Not yet. I mean, just because they're paid.
Well, okay.
So, Kate, the big talk obviously this year, NCAA football is out. What was that process to get you to get in the game? Because I don't think a lot of people have really known about that. Like, how were you approached to kind of sign up for that and to kind of go through the details of what you're physically going to look like in the game and your attributes?
For the trailer, are you asking like for the trailer? Yeah. Or for the trailer, I mean, I had no clue, honestly. I just woke up, and when the trailer came out, I just seen myself run. I was like, whoa, what in the world is this? What? So it was pretty cool to see that because I know it's a lot of players in college, and then not for me, just seeing App State in general in the trailer was cool. Just the stadium and how like close it is to like real life. So it was cool, but how they did the attributes and everything, it's crazy. It's a crazy experience.
So you had no influence over your 20 speed or your 90 speed?
Yeah, I'm a 92 speed in the game, coach.
Nice. I will go back on that because I think it speaks really about our program. We are one of 15 schools in the country that had a spot in that trailer of college football. I think it goes to what kind of program we have, the players came before us, the wins we've had. But I think wherever you do that, you put your program on a national stage. And I think that's one of the proudest things I have at Appalachian State is now we go out and we go recruiting. When you have an A on your chest, you're not saying, is that Army, is that Akron? And that's Appalachian State. And through our rebranding of App State and the Block A, that when we go out and recruit, people know who we are on the national stage. I think that's big for our program.
And Coach Clark, he definitely boasts right about, well, if the game was out when I was around, here would have been my ratings. Has he given you that speech yet?
Yeah, I mean, he said he was a dog before, so
okay.
We can't know until that game come out.
That's all we have, guys. We greatly appreciate your time as always. Looking forward to seeing Joey. What can you do next? Robinson getting another huge touchdown win and seeing you in the trailer next year for maybe Madden.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show, guys. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.